For this video lesson, we are going to write equations of lines given a point and a slope. So we've actually done this in class already. We've just graphed the equation. We haven't actually written the equation. So in class, we have graphed a line that passes through a point and has a slope. So I'm going to start with a point of -2, -3. So I plot the point -2, -3, and it has a slope of 3. So that means my slope is 3/1. So I'm going to go up 3/1 and continue that up 3/1. So there is my line. And now all we're going to do is add that extra step of writing the equation of the line. So we already know the slope of our line is 3, and from looking at the line that I graphed, the only piece that is missing is the y-intercept of 3, and so my equation would be y equals 3x plus 3. Okay, so let's show another example, and then I'm going to show you how to do this algebraically. So we're going to graph a line that passes through the point 4, 2. So there's my point 4, 2, and has a slope of -1/2. So I'm going to go down 1 over 2. That's not really helpful because that is moving us away towards the x-axis, but it's moving us away from the y-axis. So I'm going to work backwards, and I'm going to go up 1, backwards 2, and I'm going to repeat that until I hit the y-axis. And there's my line. So I already know my m value is -1/2, and from the graph I know that my line passes through 4, so my equation is y equals -1/2 x plus 4. So now let's talk, that's how we do this graphically. Graphically always works unless our y-intercept is not an integer. So now I'm going to show you how to also do this algebraically. To do this algebraically, you are going to use one of two equations. You are either going to use the slope-intercept form equation, which we've been using in class. That's y equals mx plus b. Or we're going to use the equation called point slope. The reason that this equation is nice is because I'm giving you a point and I'm giving you a slope, and those are the two things that you need to use this formula. So here is our first example. Write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form that passes through 6, 4, and has a slope of 2. So for slope-intercept form, first of all, it's really nice to know that the slope is 2 because that's our m value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this formula that I already know to my advantage. I have given you an order pair of 6, 4. You have a y and an x value, and the 2 is our m value. So that is actually, I have a y value of 4, I have an m value of 2, and I have an x value of 6, and I don't have the b value. So if I plug these 3 numbers in, I have 3 of the 4 numbers that I need, and then I can actually find the b value. That's the only part that's missing is the y-intercept. So I am going to find the y-intercept. So I am going to plug in those values. So from my y value, I have a 4. I know my m is 2, and from the order pair, I know my x value is 6. So now I'm just going to solve for b. 2 times 6 is 12. I can subtract 12 from both sides, and I get that b is -8. So now my equation, I know my m value, my slope is 2, my y-intercept is -8, and so my equation is y equals 2x minus 8. Your other option is to use what's called point slope form. So I'm going to, same thing, we know the m value is 2. This is our formula. So we're going to go back to this. I know I have an x and a y. So in this formula, I'm going to plug in the 2 where the m is. Where y sub 1 is where I'm going to plug in the y value from my point. And then where the x sub 1 value is where I'm going to plug in the x value from my point. And so that's what I've done. I've plugged in the 4, and I've plugged in the 6, and I've plugged in the 2. And now I just need to solve this for y. So to solve for y, I would have to distribute 2x minus 12. And then to get y by itself, I just need to cancel this minus 4. So I would add 4 to both sides and get the same thing y equals 2x minus 8. You need to decide what formula is easiest for you to use, and this is a nice easy formula to use, the point slope formula, but is also a new formula for you to memorize. Okay, so here's another example. Write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form that passes through 6 at -4 and has a slope of -1/3. So again, you know the m value is -1/3. I'm going to plug in to slope-intercept form, taking advantage of the point that's given to me. I have an x value, which I can plug in for x, and I have a y value that I can plug in for y. I plug in those values. Now the only piece of my equation that's missing is the b value, so I'm just going to now solve for b. -1/3 times 6 is -2, and now to get b by itself, I'm just going to add 2 to both sides and get that my b value is -2. So my equation would be y equals -1/3 x, and now I know b is -2. Or you can use point slope form. My m value is -1/3. Remember, m is always what slope is. There's the formula. I'm going to take this 6 and plug it in for x sub 1, and this -4 I'm going to plug in for y sub 1. So you do need to be careful because this is y minus a -4, which will become +4. So once I plug into point slope form, I just need to transfer into y equals form. And so I'm going to distribute. And then to get y by itself, I'm going to subtract 4. And I get the same exact equation, y equals -1/3 x minus 2. We'll do one more example. Write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form that passes through 1, 3 and has a slope of 5, 2. So slope is my m value. I'm going to take advantage of the point that was given to me. That's an x value and a y value, and I'm going to substitute them into y equals mx plus b. So now I just need to solve for b. So 5 halves times 1 is 5 halves. So now I'm just solving for b, so I'm going to subtract 5 halves from both sides, and I get that my b value is 1/2. So this would be an example of an equation that would be hard to graph because it might be hard for you to find that the y-intercept is 1/2. So my equation, here's my m value, here's my b value. Now I just write it in slope-intercept form. Y equals 5 halves x plus 1. Let's see that in point slope form. There's my m value. There's the point slope form. And here's plugging in. There's my x sub 1 value, which I plugged in. Here's my y sub 1 value. So now I just need to take this and solve for y. So I distribute. To get y by itself, I need to add 3. And then when I take 5 halves plus 3, I get 1/2. So I get y equals 5 halves x plus 1/2. I hope you learned something new. I look forward to seeing you in class. And dab.